Well, good evening and welcome. We have a few people in the house. We have 7 people in the house. Wow. Well, cheers to you all. Dishwasher juice tonight. Real great fun. So, I'm only talking to myself here. Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, somebody, please. No thumbs up yet. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Tracy. Just checking. I'm all over the place tonight. I don't know why. All over the place. Don't know what to talk about yet again. Yet again, another evening in with Chris. And you've got nothing better to do, lot, honestly. Thanks for all the thumbs up. Jesus Christ, everyone's hearing it now. Thank you. Put my glasses back on. Oh, that's better. I can see it now. I couldn't see it before. There were so many fingerprints on there, I couldn't see what was going on. So, what's been happening? What's been happening? What did you think about Country File? What did you think about the report with Country File? I didn't think it was too bad. At least it was promoting the shooting to a certain extent. I know they ran it alongside a shoot that was diversifying and making far more money than a shoot did. And I see that took a bit of stick from Joe Public. But what you've got to understand is if you upset the BBC, they won't give you no space for shooting, for promoting shooting. So you've got to play their game, don't you? You've got to sing their tune, don't you? A up, says Adam Hudson. Not too bad. A bit surprised from BBC. Adam, I hear that you've got somebody coming to your day's training, and it's Michael. I was speaking to Michael earlier. I forgot to tell him that if he turns up in white trainers at your place, they ain't going to stay white. Because when he come to Scotland, he turned up in white trainers. I think he thought it was going to be all done in a church hall. So you're going to have to tell him. Yeah, tell him it's fancy dress. Tell him it's a policeman's ball. He was slightly upset that his cup got broke. But it was fine bone china. Anyway, yeah, so what I was talking about is I thought it was quite good to actually put 20 minutes of actually about shooting on there. There was lots of things they didn't cover. And at the end of the day, I thought for our group and for YouTube, I'd do a video saying, at the end of the day, without everybody involved in the shooting, that's the guy who turns up who's a pensioner, who goes beating, he's not working anymore, he wants to keep fit, and he potters around the outsides and does a good job. The dog man who turns up and picks up and makes sure the game's, it's all done in a decent manner, the way it should be done. But at the end of the day, I'd like them to show a little bit more about the outside rough shooting and what a small shoot does compared to a big shoot. It's easy putting up the big shoots, isn't it? Did I know the lab man on there? No, I didn't. No, and I did see a couple of funny things with his whistle that I haven't seen other people do, but I did watch it, and to be honest with you, I thought it was at least they were talking about it. And if we don't talk about these, exactly, Adam, the farmers who rent unvaluable land. And the thing is, it's like looking at that estate with the beavers on, the damage the beavers do. They didn't really go into that, did they? And the compensation they've had to pay for letting the beavers on there. And if you just leave an estate to just go wild, it may be good in certain ways, but it's all those years and years of nurture soon goes to really wild if you don't tend it. And I've seen estates go backwards with the property of the buildings, and I've seen that estates go backwards because they haven't got the people doing the groundwork, and they never recover in the same way. And yet the cost of running those estates are absolutely massive, and people are diversifying, and I totally understand that. But to run the two together, I think they were trying to promote one above the other, if you know what I mean, by saying that you can make so much more money than than charging for shooting. Well, why don't we all freaking open theme parks? Hey, why don't we open a nudist beach? Not a nudist beach, a nudist camp. I'd turn up if it was a nudist camp. Who would turn up if it was a nudist camp? We could do naked training. That would be fantastic, wouldn't it? Naked training. Hey, nowhere to hide.
Don't do it in the winter, though.
Sue's on about don't do it in the winter. She never happy.
No, you'll get a frostbite.
Frostbite?
Like Harry.
Frostbite? Too cold, Graham, in the winter?
There you go.
Oh, there you go. Sue knows better, doesn't she? Honestly, it would sort the boys between the men, wouldn't it? Eh? Yeah, anyway, so I thought to myself, well, what can we talk about tonight? I've calmed down about the lunatics who are having a go at me because of the trial situation, the video that went out, and that seemed to disappear, hasn't it? They seemed to brush that one under the carpet, didn't they? I wouldn't fancy the brambles up round my bollocks, says Steve. Yeah, Steve, you put your dog in there. You don't say nothing when it comes out bleeding. Come on, Steve. No pain, no gain, as they say. Where would you keep your cheese? Peter Piper, don't ask me that question, because I know this isn't for children, but you're just pushing a dyslexic person to say something very, very rude. I know where you keep your cheese, Peter. Anyway, I'll try to keep it clean then. All right. So who's got any questions? Any questions tonight? We've got 34 people in the house. Any questions about dog training tonight? What did you think about the glasses? Do you think, just tell me, do you think they were over the top, or do you think they could be quite good? Come on. The glasses. I showed you the glasses. Did you see the video of the glasses? Dangerous, said Adam. Yeah. Ann Summers. I walked around Ann Summers. I was taking pictures and video left, right, and centre. Honestly, there's some bloody Gundog toys in there for dogs. It's unbelievable. And they vibrate. Dangerous, said Adam. It could be dangerous, couldn't it? In the wrong hands. But isn't technology going in that direction? If they had clear lens, they'd look less dodgy. You can get them, Graham. You can get them in clear lens if you want clear lens. I wish I'd bought the ones that the lens changes colour as you're indoors, because indoors you look like Stevie friggin' Wonder. Yeah, but they got what's those lenses called when they change, Sue? Change colour?
I forgot what they call it now. I can't think what they call them now. What
did you think about the dog man on Country saying that a failed dog sells for 4 to 5 grand and a good one for 20 grand? I've seen good dogs fetch close to that. As for failed dogs, there's plenty of people out there ripping people off. There's plenty of dogs going around for that sort of money, funny enough. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I think what they should have explained as well is that not everybody is paying £50 plus VAT for a bird to go shooting. It makes it look like we've all got lots and lots of money, doesn't it? At the end of the day, some people run around with £200 dogs, don't they, and done a good job with them. But there's people out there, isn't there? There's people out there. It's the same with them glasses. Do you really need a camera on the glasses? Do you really need your glasses to play music in your ears? Well, it's a bit of a gimmick, isn't it? But technology's going in that direction. And sometimes you've got to keep up with technology, I think, because you just don't know what's around the corner, do you? Jesus Christ, Paul Crocker. You're going to have to help me with that one, Sue. Photochromic. What the hell does
reactor light ones? I think Peter's got it, isn't
it? Reactor light. I mean, Paul Crocker, honestly, you've done me head. I'm going to have to get a dictionary. I'm going to have to Google that one.
Steve Pace got a question.
Steve Pace has got a question. Stevie Boy's got a question.
Mhm.
I wouldn't fancy the brambles. Oh, no, we've done that one.
It's from the country file one. And what did you think about the dog man? Right under that.
I've already answered it.
What you haven't answered the when line breeding?
Which line reading? Where are you on about?
Steve Pace.
I can't see it, Sue. You're going to have to help me, Sue, because my eyesight is going up and down like a freaking yo-yo here. When did he ask the question?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, right. I can see it now. I'm looking further up. When line breeding, Chris, how tight would you go? E.g., father to daughter or mother or son or litter mates? It's an awkward one, Steve. It depends how close your lines are. If it works, it's called line breeding. If it doesn't work, it's called interbreeding. But they've put mother to the sire back onto the sire before. But you've got to be a little bit careful. If you've got absolute perfection in your lines, you can sometimes get away with it. But what happens? It enhances and triples. It triples, they reckon, if you've got faults. So if you've got a dog that's got traits in it that you're not happy with, you can find that increases threefold. Line breeding is guessometry, but at least with line breeding, if you're clever with it and you work your lines, you look how close they are and you don't go in too close. I like to go in 3 times and then I go back out again, and always bring in an outcross myself. Always bringing in an outcross, fresh blood, because it's a bit like the Royals, isn't it? There's some funny breeding there, isn't there?
They had to go out as well, didn't they?
Sue said they had to go out. They had to go to Germany. They had to go into the Germans, didn't they? Honestly, I thought for a second she was going to talk about that freaking ginger bloke, and I don't want to talk about the ginger bloke because I've heard nothing except him interviewing himself about the book. Who's fed up with this book and this publicity that they wanted to be left alone to get on with their lives? Who's fed up with it? Are you fed up with it yet, everybody? Or are you sitting down? Or who's bought the book? Let's ask who's bought the book. Or should we give a book away as a winning prize? Peter Piper, he's bought it. He's fed up with it, or he's bought the book. There's no way on this earth he's bought the book. He's too freaking tight, Scotsman. He's too freaking tight. Right, okay. So, what prince? Yeah, exactly. And see, I wasn't going to mention it. Someone had to. I think that we're all fed up with it, aren't we? Move on. And leave people to buy the book if they want to. But no, it's all about publicity, isn't it? It's all about sales.
It's all about the money.
It's all about the money, isn't it? I mean, I could tell you a few stories about myself. You know, when I was a kid, right, my brothers, and especially my older brother was 2 years older than me, and he was a bully. And he used to call me Doris. That's affected me all my life. And I'm thinking of bringing a book out about it. And the times he gave me an hammering. But they reached a stage where I gave him a hammering back and he never bullied me again. Now, I'm sorry, but you've been out fighting and doing all that heroic stuff, and your brother grabs you by the neck and you do nothing. Let's move on, shall we? Let's move on. And like someone says, that's what you get in the Air Force. Stop it. Honestly, even the forces are arguing with each other who's the hardest. Tam who's 700. Thomas, Tam who's 700. Don't know what that means. Bring your book out, Chris. Yeah, you wouldn't want it. the day I sat in a puddle and cried because I got a certificate of merit. And I blamed every judge for the next 10 years. And I froze. And I don't get triggered.
Photochromatic is the science of light to dark glasses, sir, says Paul Crocker.
Bloody hell, Paul, you must have looked that up. You've had to look that up, Paul. I know he's a photographer, isn't he? He's into photography, isn't he? Yeah. Yeah, good idea. Anyway, I think that down here we've got 3 or 4 nudist beach. I'm going to do the nudist beach in the summer with the glasses on. The footage I'm going to send you is going to be hilarious. But you won't be seeing me, will you? Behind the camera. But it'll be in your imagination, Chris Upton tromping across the nudist beach like a walrus. But it's the quality of the shots. It's the quality of the filming, isn't it? Which one, Chris? What the friggin' hell? I'm not telling you, Pierre. You'll be there, you skinny bastard. You could stand in front of me, Pierre, because you could cover up my modesty. Just. He could just cover up the modesty. Yeah. Anyway. What else are we talking about? I don't freaking know. I don't know. Everything I've done, I've switched on stuff today. Everybody is talking about Ginge. Everybody. And so I'm looking for something new to talk about, and I'm thinking, don't talk about Ginge tonight. And what happens? We've talked about Ginge. We need to move on. Yeah, I appreciate art. I appreciate this. This is the thing. How can you be a sexist if you really enjoy women? Is that right, Sue? How can you be a sexist? They call me a sexist because I talk about some certain people who seem to chase me, who seem to find me, I think it's my sense of humor. It can't be looks, can it? It can't be looks. I keep looking at myself. This is the problem. I'm self-conscious, but I'm talking to you lot and I'm looking at myself non-stop. It ain't a good situation. I'd rather be looking at all of you. But on here, you hide from it, don't you? On Corleone Talk, we see each other. Now, what you've got to realize is, who was the first person that you know who had a set of glasses like I was showing you? Come on. I did tell some of you. Because some people say, oh, it's inclusion on your privacy and all that. But hang on, when I was a kid, Joe 90, there you go, Paul Crocker. Joe 90 had a pair. No one freaking condemned him and said, you dirty little pervert, did they? No one. Second that Steve. What does Steve say? I can't wait for Megan to take her hand out of her.
No, he thinks he's a lesbian. I enjoy them so much.
Who's a lesbian?
Steve, because you were saying
Steve's not a lesbian.
For God's sake.
How can you say Steve's a lesbian? There's no way that Steve's a lesbian.
You said
if he's a lesbian, he's the giver, not the taker. Come on, what are you on about?
Well, if you let me speak.
Ooh. Go on then.
You were on about people saying that you're sexist and stuff like that, but you enjoy women, and you were asking, and they were coming back. And Steve says, I think I'm a lesbian. I enjoy them so much.
All right, now I'm with you.
You weren't good, God.
She's glad I'm with them. Right. Sorry, puppet. So you had Thunderbirds as well. They used to have them, didn't they? They used to have those on Thunderbirds ago. They used to go down into the dark holes, didn't they, with the glasses on, the old light come on and the torch and they could film it. So it's nothing new, is it? It's just taken us all these years to get it to the market. But if you can just go like that and say play music, and it plays your music, wacky Chris. You lost me again now.
Wakey, not wacky. Well, he's actually got it right, I think. No, you got it right. Wacky wacky. It's wakey wakey.
Steve, between you and the wife, you're really trying to confuse me. I thought you thought it was a bondage site for a second. Wacky wacky. I read wacky wacky, and you're saying wakey wakey. Honestly, it's getting freaking harder. This is. I can't keep up tonight. Exactly, Adam. I can't. Look, my mind at the moment is racing everywhere, going off in every tangent you can imagine. We're testing you tonight. There you go. Thomas, £700, Chris. What the frig's he on about? Mad Scotsman.
Tam, who's 700 pounds.
What?
Oh, I still don't get it.
Tam, he paid £700. I think he paid for Sam. I think that's what he's trying to tell you.
Right.
Honestly, it's like paint by numbers at the moment on here. Yeah, Pierre's got a question here. Which one's Chris? Which one? What? Oh, the beach. That was it. We've been there already, haven't we? We moved on from that. So like you're dead right, Jules. Joe 90. So no one called him a little pervert, did they? Running around with a freaking camera in it. I mean, he had a little briefcase, didn't he, with all the kit in. Who remembers? Who was wealthy enough to have parents wealthy enough that bought them the Joe 90 box, the actual briefcase, and then when you opened it up, you had a gun, you had all the Joe 90 stuff in there. Them were the days, weren't they? And then we used to go and sit in them things in the park that you get in, and they spin it around, make you freaking dizzy. Remember that Joe 90? I even got the music in my head, haven't I? Just giving away my age now, innit? I had a good day with Prince today, and not long before the season has finished, I think maybe more shoots will shut down this season. Watch this space. Honestly, Pierre. Honestly, what are we going to do? What are we going to do if all the shoots close down? We'll all go rough shooting. And then the lardy-dars will need a dog that's under control, won't they? They'll say, can you come with us? Because we need a dog that you can flush birds and stop. No, they don't. They just have a free-for-all, wouldn't they? Free-for-all. I think the shooting is so diverse, and yet it gets brushed aside that it's so vastly different. That you get your man who likes to walk the hedge with his dog and rough shoot and come back with a couple of birds in his bag and have a long walk with his dog and a cracking bit of exercise, and it's fantastic shooting. You then get pigeon shooters, you then get rabbit shooters, you get people traveling all the way to Scotland to shoot the rabbits, because it used to be a cheap form of shooting over the dogs, and people from all different backgrounds get involved in shooting, but it's always the high-end shoots. They like to show off, don't they? They like to show bird after bird after bird coming across and them shooting them. They like to talk about how much it cost and all that. I see they didn't want to talk about on one of the shoots how much it cost for day shooting, but it's dead simple to work out, isn't it? But it's all about money. It's all become all about money. It used to be years and years ago when I first started, the majority of estates you went on were family-run estates, not commercial. But it's become commercialized, and with that, you then get people adding more birds to make more money. And the problem is, it then becomes a roller coaster. And if someone's not a good businessman, it doesn't know what they're doing, then at the end of the day, those shoots will fall aside. It's as simple as that. In the pocket, I go on 2 shoots. I had dogs running. Well, one has dogs running wild and hard to see dogs in some areas due to bushes, etc. Another, you have to work edge rows a lot. This is problematic if you want your dog tight and trial. Exactly, you're dead right. You're in the pocket. You're spot on. The problem is, that's why a lot of trial people will go to certain shoots where you can cover the ground properly. You're not running ahead. I've seen so many shoots when the beaters are just walking through and not covering the ground. Some of them don't even have dogs and not covering the ground. You get a good dog man, sometimes he gets further back because he wants to cover the ground properly and he doesn't want to miss birds. There's an art in it. But the art is going out of it because people are coming in who shoot, who pay for that shooting. They want to bring their wives and their friends with dogs that are out of control. They don't want to talk about that, do they? But what I wanted to talk about in my video that I put up is over the years, I've met some wonderful, wonderful, wealthy people, and I've met some wonderful people who live in council houses who go on shoots for the fun, the element of working, getting fit, schooling their dogs. I'm not knocking the big shoots who've allowed me over the years to go on the shoots. What I'm saying is they have become so commercialized. I think it's taken a lot of the fun out of it, where before the owner of the shoot would have his guests come to his shoot and that he would go to other shoots, and it wasn't so commercial. And I believe that they think that going commercial is what it's all about. Well, they've got to make money. But hang on, haven't they got money in the first place? No, but they've got an estate. So they're using it and been diversifying it and saying, well, let's use it to make money on. What other business would I get compensated if I couldn't go out with my gun dogs? Would the government step in and go, we'll pay you your year's wage because you can't get out and train dogs because of a problem? I have to be so careful. I don't want to upset the farmers who let me go on the ground. And so if they've got a problem with like bird flu, and this is a really important thing as well, what they didn't really talk about too much. They talked about the pheasants carrying the disease, the bird flu, and bringing it to the wild bird population, but they didn't talk too much about the migrating birds coming with it. And they come with it so often each year. And there is your problem. Now, sorry, there's a lot of money has been made in killing birds. Exactly. And Mitch Gundog, on some of the shoots I've been over the years, and look at me, I'm not mentioning their names. On some of the shoots I've been over the years, it's been a killing fields. That's all it's been. It's all about how many birds get shot on the day. It's not about the sport, the art of shooting. It's just a numbers game for the rich. Now, I'm not having a go at all shoots. I'm not having a go because some shoots are run fantastically. They're family shoots. They are even they're commercial shoots as well. And they're run in a brilliant way, organized way, and give you a real good day out. So it's no different than dog trainers. You got good ones, you got bad ones. But I can tell you this, I've been on some shoots with well-known guns down here who shoot massive amounts every day on other shoots. I'm not going to mention their names, but I've been through the pens and there's been carcass after carcass after carcass just laid there. No one's picking it up because there's so much of it. It's just disease after disease after disease. And the pens have got no cover. It's just a dirty mud bath with bird shit in it because they overfill the pens. They overfill the chute with game to produce more and more money. And that's where it gives us a bad name if we're not careful. That's why it's so important that we should be policing it and being sensible with it. And we should be honoring the situation. The same, all that good meat going to waste. Well, it's the same as farming, isn't it? If you look at farms in Germany and places like that, you wouldn't believe, and in America, you wouldn't believe how clean they are compared to farms falling to pieces. They're not making profit on the farm, and it's going to rack and ruin. And so, some of the cattle are in a right state. But at the end of the day, a good farmer works his arse off. He sticks at what he does. And at the end of the day, they've got good farmers and bad farmers. And what we need to do is we need to show all the sides of shooting, all the sides of quality shooting, of going out and enjoying a small group of people enjoying it. Now, like the shoot said on that channel, we might have to stop the big shoots because we're not making money on them and do little groups. Well, I found those little groups are the best groups for training dogs because they ask you along. There's 4 or 5 of you. You have an outside day, 30 or 40, up to probably 50 birds a shot all day between the guns. And the guns pay good money to stand around and have birds put over them. The beaters are exercising the dogs. The trainers who want to train dogs properly can train the dogs and cover the area and put birds over them. They've been the best days. They're not the best days on a shoot where there's thousands and thousands of birds and you don't need a dog. You could just walk through the shoot and put birds up. You can keep your dog on a lead and birds, there's just millions of them. Those sort of shoots I keep away from, but I've been on them because you've got to learn what's good for your dogs and what's not good for your dogs. And I say the smaller birds, the smaller days. And when I say small days, a 250 bird day is a fantastic day. You don't need more than 250 in my opinion.
Well, Steve says a 200 per day is more than enough for both guns and dogs, in his opinion.
Well done, Steve. Well done. I agree with you 100%. But this is people who are going on the shoots, guys. This is people who've been on the shoots. Jeff, right. Good to get out with the morning with a dog, and a bird is a bonus. Exactly, Jeff. You're dead right, mate. It's a bonus. And you know what? If you go out for the morning and you come back with 6 birds, and you took your dog out and it's had 10, 15 flushes, and you come back with 6 birds, you're absolutely laughing. I don't shoot a bird that I can't send the dog for straight away once it's been shot. I don't mean instantly. I mean, I'm not going to shoot a bird that is going to go towering across a road just for the sake of shooting. I'm going to let that bird go because I'm going to get that bird another day when it comes back in. As you get, I've never been greedy about shooting, but I've always realized the importance, especially if you want to competition a dog, the importance of shooting over your dogs and giving them that skill set and that knowledge and understanding. Like I said, I've taken people out and I have taken birds pretty quick for a young dog and give it a nice simple retrieve. But I prefer to let them go a little bit, have a sporting bird, because I put a video up in our group about a championship winner, and I got nothing against the guy, nothing against the dog, no bad blood, but it's great up in our group because I showed you how it was shot, and I don't personally think the dog was covering enough ground. I don't think the dog was covering gun to gun. But the difference is when the bird got up, it wasn't, they were watching the dog and not where the bird came from. But when they shot the bird, you can see the bird coming past the handler. So you could say in competition, as long as the handler hasn't moved in front of the bird and the bird gets up behind the handler, technically, if the handler's standing still, it's giving the dog chance to come back if he wants to. I don't think in that video, I don't think that 6-foot retrieve is a good fine example of shooting in trials. But things happen like that. And at the end of the day, his luck was in because I don't think he was covering the ground that well with his dog at that point. And he was lucky that he was standing still, an experienced trialing man, that he was standing still at the point where the bird took off. And because the camera angle, I think that he got away with it. But I'd never shoot a bird that close to my dog. It's not sporting, and it's not going to test my dog, is it? It's not going to test my dog if I'm going to nail a bird like that. And so to me, I want the dog to be able to mark it, flush it, mark it, and I'd rather have a contact flush and then give the dog the bird and by shooting it than a bird just volunteering itself, getting up at the side of you without the dog on the end of it, and then someone shooting it. I'd be a bit cheesed off if I went out shooting with someone and we were having to pay for birds. That would not be a bird that I'd want you to shoot, because I don't think that has done the dog any good, the training day any good, or the trial any good. Has it tested the dog? No, it's not. You could say it tested its steadiness because all the bird feathers went back across in the wind across the dog's face. I'm saying that I don't think that was particularly sporting. But at the end of the day, some people think the faster you shoot a bird at a trial, that's the way it should be. I think that it should be equivalent to a good day's shooting in the field. Would you really take a bird that close in the field? I wouldn't. I wouldn't. No.
3 questions.
3 questions. Go on then,
Well,
Susan.
well, Julian Lees has answered one, which was mixed gundogs. Are there actual wild pheasants in the UK? Julian said yes, the fens in Norfolk.
There's wild pheasants all over the place, but the difference is a lot of them have come from shoots. They've been reared and they've spread around over the fields and the farmers' fields. And the next season, the following season, they're breeding. And there's birds out there. There's plenty. We're so lucky down in Cornwall that we've got a number of estates who put out so many birds. The birds move on and they start breeding in the wild, and we get some beautiful rough shooting. And I'll tell you what, a reared bird for a shoot is nothing like a wild bird. A wild bird will sit tight and take off. Reared birds run. As simple as that. They run. In a trial where they run the championship in places like that, if it's on a shooting estate for pheasants and not just mostly on rabbits, they'll leave that ground specially and not disturb it, because those birds will be running like crazy else, and you don't want the birds running, even though you got your stops out with your flags and all that. Those birds will be running, where a wild bird will sit tight, a lot tighter, and you'll have a real good contact flush. Far more sporting, I think. Far more sporting.
Next question,
Susan.
Adam Hudson. Is the problem free shoots, or is the problem that this country doesn't have a good representing body that promotes game as a sustainable source of food? Is the problem the shoots?
No, I think we're too scared, Adam. We're too scared to stand up for what we do and what we believe in and promote it. I'm not being funny, but I'm not sexist or anti this or anti that. But isn't it funny that if you're a humpback queer boy, you've got more protection than anybody who wants to go shooting? Did you not see the gay person has got more protection than anybody who goes shooting, or anybody who's got a difference of opinion? Did you not see? I put up on our group the fishing girl. The girl was out fishing on a pond. I don't go fishing, and when we went to the field, when we went to the game fair, I was doing a demonstration, the Gundog demonstration for the game fair, and they had the pond, and they had people with fly fishing on the pond and doing a chat and a talk, but the commentary was right next to us, and that's why I heard it, because I'm not really into the fishing myself. I'd sea fishing I've done, but not really into ponds and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, I put a video up of a woman walking past a person who's on a pond that's legally fishing, and all she's doing is weighing the fish, taking a photo, and then putting it back in. And she's screaming and swearing at her like a banshee. And this is what you get. You get some freaking lunatic who sees you take hold of your dog and give a slight correction on the lead, and they want to throw you under a bus. They're so fast. She was carp fishing. Yeah, you're right, Dave. And what I'm saying is, she was doing nothing wrong. It was her interest. She wasn't illegally fishing, and she was minding her own business, and the woman walked past and gave her absolute shite. Them sort of people, because we can't punish these days, that's why we've got this problem. And when I say punish, is if you fire back at her, she'd play the victim. She'd video record you and play the victim. So you just got to let them go, don't you? But do you? If you're only a fishing person, and you don't have to adhere to what we have to adhere to, because if you're into shooting, good God, even if you swear at someone's going to get triggered. So that's the problem, isn't it? That's the problem. We seem to not have the balls in this country to stand up and say, this is what we do. It's within the law, and while it's within the law, we'll do it. But it's back to that same scenario, isn't it? If people want to take drugs, I say go over there and take drugs. As long as it doesn't bother me, or you're not driving around and killing people because you're drugged up out your head and you want to go and do it in your own time, in your own environment, off you trot. Off you go. I'm not interested. Move on with your life. Why can't we be more tolerant?
That'll be the day.
We're not, are we?
No. Steve Pace said, should they change the rules and only shoot birds that get flushed by the dog?
You know what, Steve? I think that's exactly what they should do. And that would sort out the men between the boys. Because at the end of the day, trialing become such a windscreen wiper pattern that certain people promoted and certain people win with regular. That are the dogs hunting dogs, or are they just flushing because they're covering the ground in front of them? There's nothing finer than watching a dog take a line and produce a bird. Now, I'm not talking about take a line miles away and everyone's running through the woods with to get this one bird, but I'm talking about a dog that hunts and shows you in its hunting that it's on a bird and produces that bird. And there's a real skill in that. Anybody can create a clockwork orange, a performing monkey, as we say, a non-thinking dog. To me, a good hunting dog is a dog that covers the ground but shows you when it's on game because it goes up a gear. It's a different dog when you watch it. And that's what I'm trying to look through on these videos. I'm looking for dogs that are punching game out rather than just physically pushing them out because of the body presence running across in front of them. Because if you look at Labrador trials, when they walk through cover crop, they're all in a line. Guns, all the competitors in a trial walked up and they're all moving forward, and there will be birds getting out from all along the line because as you're moving forward through the cover crop, you're disturbing those birds. A spaniel is supposed to hunt that cover crop. You're not even supposed to see your dog. Its head should be down, its tail should be down, and its nose should be on the floor because it will not find game with a high head carriage in cover crop. It's got to get its head down and it's got to hunt that cover crop. And there's nothing finer than watching a dog take a bird in cover crop. But people don't realize this unless they've been schooled that way. And I think that's a good point that Steve said. I don't think you should win the championship if you haven't had a contact flush. And one of the videos I put up the other day, one handler who won the championship had a very, very long run. He had birds shot, but his dog hadn't flushed them. But the judge, I think, was right in thinking this is a good dog. He's going well. I want to see a contact flush. Because I don't think you should win a trial if you haven't had a contact flush. And you could say, well, that's not fair because you had 2 flushes. Well, if the birds are getting up and you're killing them, you could say to the guns, listen, what I want today. Now, if it's early in the day, this is important. If it's early in the day and there's plenty of game, you could say, right, what I want you to do to start with, I only want you shooting a bird if the dog punches it out with his nose. Right. But then what happens later in the trial, if you're not got any birds and you're having to shoot anything and everything just to give the dog a retrieve, that's the problem. So it's not an ideal situation, but the ideal situation, because luck plays a part as well. And so you could say, well, on your day, you didn't have the luck. You didn't have a contact flush. I want to see a contact flush. I think the importance is a contact flush in competition. It shows the dog. It shows the steadiness. It shows how it stops on a sixpence. Does it watch the bird away or look back at the handler? The dog looking back at the handler. You're dead right, Dave Jones. The retriever trials are so false compared to a real shooting day scenario. Boring as fuck. Absolutely spot on. But guess what? That's not going to make us the most popular people on the internet. You've just upset all the Labrador trial people.
Well, you may have not upset in the pocket, but he might be thinking, because he's asking, if you're wanting to trial,
Yeah.
what does the perfect week look like? A few hours rough shooting one day, question mark, one day on the peg, question mark, one day beating on a 50 to say 100 bird day, question mark. It's right above David Jones.
I know that, but I'm trying to work out what he means. In the pocket, if you're wanting to trial, what does a perfect week look like? Put the dog away for a week. Put the dog in the kennel and don't do nothing for a week. Bring it out like a raging lunatic, like Robert De Niro in Raging Bull, right? Bring it out and win the frigging thing. It depends how well you train your dog. If you train your dog right, it shouldn't be having to go on. I think that's what you're trying to say. What does the perfect week look like? A few hours rough shooting one day, and then one day on the peg, another day beating 500. No, I think a week's rest is the best thing you can do if you want to win a trial with a dog. If that's what you're trying to ask, that's what I'm telling you. I don't like taking a dog out 2 to 3 days at least before a trial, because you should have done all your work. Your dog should have been trained. It should have been ready. And then you're revving it up. You're like putting it away, like not taking the wife out for a week. You then take her shopping. I tell you what, she can't wait. She gets in the car like a lunatic. If you take her out every day, she takes 10 minutes to get in the car. You know what they're like? You know what they're like, everyone? Oh, you sexist bastard, Chris Upton. I knew you'd put your big foot in it at some point tonight. No, because gay boys, I don't know what happens. You tell me, anybody on here who's gay, does your partner take frickin' ages getting ready? Do you go, oh, come on, darling, get your lipstick on. Get your lippy ready. Come on, hurry up. I'm just ready to go. Oh, I'm not dressed. You are? No, I'm not dressed to go out. Well, I've been dressed all morning. I've done the dogs. I'm ready to go out. Honestly, Chris, I got no patience, have I? Honestly, you can see why we've been together so long, me and Sue. I can't find anybody else. Anyway, any more questions? So I think it's a good question in the pocket. What you wanted to do to trial, is it perfect? I tell you what I have done before. Terrible, absolutely terrible. I'm going to get myself shot here. Every trial that I go to, because I've always had driven dogs and dogs that really want. And you could say, well, hang on. I thought you said you like to go to a trial with a trained dog. Yes, I do. A dog that's been worked and trained and schooled properly. But I tell you what, when you put that dog in the car early in the morning and you travel 4 hours, he knows he's getting out and he's going on a freaking trial. He freaking knows. When you get him out the kennel, nice and quiet, not to disturb all the others, your dog goes up that motorway, freaking lying there with one eye open, thinking, cannot freaking wait. I think we're going trialing. And when you cast them off, they're a different freaking beast if you haven't trained them right. But just before 10 minutes before I get to the trial, I find somewhere quiet, somewhere nice and quiet, let the dog out to have a pee and a poo before getting to the trial, and then just letting the dog out. And I let the dog have a pee and a poo, and then I sit him up and I cast him off, and off we go hunting just for 2 minutes. And when he doesn't turn instantly, I get out after him and just say to him, oi, listen, you. Some you have to be a little bit firmer with, and some you don't. Some you can just change your tone of your voice. So when you take your dog on the shoot and you sit him up, take the lead off, your heart's not beating like a freaking lunatic thinking, is he going to be with me today, or is he going to do his own freaking thing? Because you've sent him a message that listen to daddy. Now that's if you don't destroy the drive in the first place. If you've got something that's pottering and you did that to it before you went trialing, it would go, I'm not hunting, you've upset me. I drive dogs. I don't destroy the drive, but a quick, short, sharp message like, hey, we're going out playing now. Let's have you on your best behavior. Didn't do any dog I ever ran in competition any harm at all. If anything, it helped to treat. Now, there's going to be people on here who have trialed, and there's people on here who's going to go, oh, that's not dog training, isn't it? We're being totally honest with you on this site. But would I give it a kicking like in that video? No way. No way. Because I tell you what, half the dogs would go, you're having a laugh when you cast me off. I want that dog to go like shit off a shovel, as they say.
In the pocket came back, and it's actually following on from his question earlier when he said he goes on 2 shoots. One's got the dogs running wild, the other's got the cover so hard you can't even see the dog. And he says, and he's come back and said, as in, if you want to get into trialing, you wouldn't want to spend the whole season working on a shoot where you can't see your dog and where dogs are going wild. What situations do you want to use?
Well, the thing is, good question in the pocket. Not everybody's got the facilities to go shooting birds. Not everybody shoots. If you've got that facility that you can go shooting birds, it's better to make the dog work hard for birds than find birds everywhere. But you're going to get a situation in trials where you cast your dog off and 400 or 500 birds take off. And if you haven't schooled the dog in that situation, and I can't give you that situation, I can't give my dogs that situation because I haven't got areas other than going to shoots to find that many birds in front of me. So yes, you've got to put the dog on those shoots to give the dogs the education, in my opinion. But if you overdo it, the dog will start learning to pull you all over the place. A lot of trial people, they'll go in the beating line and they'll go picking up to give dogs experience, but you can overdo it. You can overdo it if you want to run dogs in competition. But if you don't school them enough in competition, you'll be going home without anything and having to make excuses that your dog failed on a bird, or that it was too difficult, or they shot it without telling you. I've heard every excuse under the sun. If you train hard, you play hard, and you put your dogs through the experience of everything, rough shooting, picking up, beating, working in thick cover, working in light cover. It depends where you can take your dogs. And like you say, you've got 2 shoots. If it's not for you, you need to look for another shoot, a different shoot. I could train a dog solely on rough shooting rather than taking a dog on a shoot, letting a dog run riot. If you've got areas where the keeper says, let the dogs go, and you don't see your dogs for 10 minutes, you ain't never going to trial that dog. Simple as that. You ain't never going to trial that dog and do any good with it. But dogs learn when you allow them to open up in certain conditions, ground conditions. If you notice, a lot of the championship videos is in white grass, right? You don't do any good coming from sunny Cornwall or Wales running dogs in white grass at the championship very often. It's people up country who's on the rabbits, who school dogs in that sort of conditions. You don't need good marking ability, do you, in white grass if you're going to shoot a bird 15 foot out from the dog? It's ridiculous, isn't it? But down here, trust me, with people who've been out with me shooting, bird will get up. It's a 60, 70 feet retrieve, and it could be over a bank, across the other side of an edge. It could be into a ditch. We got hills. At the end of the day, it's testing, and you have to train dogs to handle that sort of condition. It's different. Different parts of the country, it's different. If you're just running dogs on rabbits, it's a completely different thing to shooting pheasants, because a rabbit, as a dog flushes a rabbit, the rabbit will run, and then you shoot the rabbit. You send the dog. Do you want the dog to go directly to where the shot was, or do you want the dog to put its nose down and take the line to where the rabbit was? Tell me. So you're out shooting on rabbits and you're in white grass. Your dog punches out a rabbit, sits up smart, you blow the whistle, you shoot it. Do you want the dog to run straight to the fall where the shot is and pick the rabbit, or do you want the dog to put its nose down and follow the line where the rabbit ran across the ground to the spot, pick it, and come back? Come on, let's have a bit of a laugh. No one's here. 37 people. What do you want? Do you want the dog to run straight to the rabbit, or do you want it to take the line? In the pocket. Thanks. Come on, guys. Follow the scent line from the fall. From the fall, it's not falling, it's a rabbit. The bird falls. Come on, Stevie. Nose down, says Peter Piper. Follow the line, says Graham Allison. If it's mark it, pick it. Oh, Pierre. Straight to it, says Nigel Moore. I think this is interesting because I was coming back with the owner of Carborough Art, and we'd been to Scotland shooting, and coming down the motorway, we had a bit of a ding dong over this. He said to me, "Your fucking dogs run straight to the rabbit where you shoot." And I went, "Yeah." And they get the freaking rabbit faster than your dog that puts its nose down and takes the line. Because it's got to follow the line. If the rabbit went like that, it's got to follow the line. My dog's gone straight to the shot. and pick the rabbit. So he come from Derby. I come from Derby, but I live in Cornwall. When a bird gets up, it can't take the line, can it? The dog's got to look in the direction of the shot. So the dog's learnt to go in the direction of the shot. I guarantee a dog taking a line is not going to get there as fast as a dog going straight to the fall. But up country, judges want a dog to take a line. And taking a line looks fantastic. But you can't knock the dog go straight to the bird or straight to the rabbit and picks it up and brings it back. Look at this, Paul Crockett. If you shoot it correctly, shouldn't have strayed too far. All right. What happens if the dog is hunting tussocks, like up in Yorkshire and Scotland? We got them down here as well, but we don't get much game in there. Out bumps a rabbit in front of your dog's not flushed it, you fire a shot and say to your dog, get out. What do you expect it to do? Take a line? No, because the rabbit may have popped up 30 foot away from the dog and you've banged it. The dog should go to the shot. What happens then if the rabbit is off it and drags itself further and further away? That's when the dog should take the line. That's in my opinion. That doesn't mean that I'm right or wrong. It depends what part of the country you come from. Because judges up north on rabbit shooting want to see a dog take a line from where the dog flushed the bird or the rabbit. So the dog's flushed the rabbit, the dog sat up, bang. They want to see the dog take the line from the flush, follow it out and pick it. But I guarantee the way I train gets my dog to that shot item faster than a dog with its nose down taking the line out to it. So if it does move on, my dog gets to the fall, then drops its head and starts to hunt. All these little things are things perhaps other people don't know if they haven't been in the situation that I've been in. As a judge, if the dog makes a good retrieve out and back, I don't care if it's put its nose down and took a line, or whether it's run straight to the fall where the shot was, picked it and brought it back. I want it retrieved. What I'm looking for is the best hunting dog. Now, if you get a difficult retrieve and you say, put your dog out there, that's where the bird was seen, and you see that dog get to the fall where you've asked it to put it, and then take a line from the fall where we last saw the bird that's been shot, or a rabbit that's been shot that's dragged itself away, there's nothing finer than watching a dog do that. But if you watch the championship videos, and that's the only ones you really see, because I tell you what, if they showed you the standard of some of the ordinary trials, you'd be laughing your frigging heads off, because some of the standard of people at trials are so terrible, it's unbelievable. So you're seeing the elitist of the elite. How many of them dogs are not having contact flushes? They're having to be handled onto birds instead of marking ability. Marking ability is a massive part of gun dog training. Teaching a dog to mark. It's the get out of jail card. When you shoot, a dog with gun sense will go in the direction of that shot. It will get out there and work it out. If you haven't overtrained, it will find it on its own ability. Like Keith Ernson used to say to me, I let the dog do the hunting and I do the shooting. That's the way it should be. But you have to school the dog. You have to give that dog the knowledge. So it was a great question from In the Pocket about the conditions, when you should train, how you should train. Like Pierre says, trust your dog. How many times have I said that, Pierre? Hang on, trust your dog. Don't overhandle. You know, once a dog knows his job, it's so easy to start getting flustered and overhandling. Just trust your dog. It's amazing how dogs become the masters of hunting. That's what they're bred for. You don't take that away from the dog. I'm not going to knock a dog for putting its nose down and taking a line of a rabbit, But I'm not going to knock a dog to go straight to the shot area and picks the rabbit straight out, straight back, because you're going to get there a lot quicker than the dog that takes his nose. And what happens if you've had a lot of game on the ground? The dog that's taken the line of the rabbit can suddenly go off that line onto another line. Now, blood trail and blood scent is a big thing that you've got to learn about. The conditions, the temperature, the weather forecast the day before makes so much difference on the day, whether you've got heat rising from the ground, whether you haven't got that, whether you've got snow. I mean, one of our members put up a video, I think it was Peter, with his dog hunting in the snow, right? It's one of the worst things you can have. You've seen him at the championship in the snow, struggling like crazy. Can't find a bird 2 foot from them. They get the dog to the area, they can't find the bird because it's in the snow. There's no scent rising. Or the scenting conditions make out of a difference. And unless you know these things, you shouldn't be judging. You shouldn't be judging. But unfortunately, people who copy other people about windscreen wiper dogs and think that's the most important thing, to keep it around your feet. And when a bird gets up, as long as it's not more than 15 foot away from you, you should have a semi-easy retrieve. I think trialing could be, it should be the rules say it should be, and it's only a guideline, it should be as close to a shooting day as possible. If the videos I'm putting up for the group to show the group, nothing like a real day, is it? It's nothing like a real day shooting, is it? Come on, let's be honest.
No.
It's a farce. It's a farce. And while it's a farce in that area, and don't get me wrong, I'm not rubbishing all trialing. There are some brilliant dogmen. And people go, yeah, it's all bent. The same men are winning all the time. Well, perhaps you want to ask the question: are they better than you? Are they far better than you on a regular basis? They obviously are, because they're winning on a regular basis. Yes, I've even talked about. You're my mate. I'll do you favors. You do me favors. I understand that happens. I understand there's favoritism, back scratching, brown nosing. But at the end of the day, some of those good trainers win on a regular basis because they're bloody good trainers. That's not taking it away from them. At the end of the day, you see some people, they're there all the time. They walk around with like cravats on thinking they're trial people and they're elite. They are absolutely freaking useless. They couldn't train a dog to save their lives. A hair is a good test. Find that, Thomas. Find that. I tell you what, I was going to say something about pubic hairs then, Thomas, the Mad Scotsman, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to confuse you. Anyway, we've had an hour, 32 people in the house, and only 9 thumbs up. I don't understand why we're still doing this, really, this live feed, because you seem to want more. You seem to want more for some reason. But we've got a regular little crew, haven't we? We've got regular little followers. And I really appreciate it that you're in there. And while you keep wanting to listen to it, then I'll keep putting it up. But when you get sick of me, just say, not tonight, fat bastard. I won't get triggered. I'll have an evening off. Right? But thanks for tuning in. Nice chat. Because it's enjoyable, says David Jones. It's all about the banter, says Pierre. And if you enjoy the chat, then I enjoy the chat with you. And I appreciate you coming in and having a chat with us, because I believe that your dog trainers that you speak to should be approachable. They should be friendly. They should give good advice. They shouldn't rip you off. I see so much of that. And at the end of the day, when you get people coming back and they've known you for years and years and years, you've got to be doing something right. You've got to be doing something right, don't you? People have trained with me onto their 5th dog and stuff like that. That's what it's about, innit? It's about people coming back because they've got results. They like the banter. We have a bit of a laugh. It's a good crack, says Tracy. Oh, I do like Tracy. So, no, Murray, bollocks. Never mind the bollocks. Bollocks. Honestly, we confuse the shit out of some people, don't we? I bet they read this and think, everyone hates him. Look, they go bollocks at the end of the evening. But we know what we're talking about. So on that note, good night, everyone. Thanks a lot. Thanks for tuning in, and catch you all later. Have a good time. It's been raining again here today for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, and it says expect rain tomorrow in Canada.
Oh, rain tomorrow. All because I bought these new sunglasses and I need to go out and take some photos. You can't do it in the wet. Joe 90's worked in the freaking wet, didn't they? Good night, all. Chris Upton signing off. How do you sign off again? Oh, yeah, remember now.